So I have a few friends that also had the gastric surgery, and I decided to ask them what they wish their bariatric service centers had covered before the surgery. And I've got a list here. So everyone said that they wish the surgery center had talked about how pricey it is, and I think I've covered that in pretty well in other videos. They also said they wanted to talk about, they wish somebody had talked about how most restaurants don't honor those little cards, and don't allow you to order small sizes. So you're gonna have to either get used to eating leftovers or wasting money. They all wanted to talk about food waste, and how much food waste there's going to be, like even years later, and how much your taste buds are going to change. Like, there are things that you used to love that you will not be able to stand. Some people suggest you try all the protein shakes before surgery, and that's just, it's not really worth a whole lot, because after surgery, some of your favorite protein shakes are going to be the worst. The ones you cannot stand now. And a lot of people wanted to talk about how hard it is to actually adjust your menus, your recipes, your life around now making sure you get protein in every meal and eating the protein. Like, they wanted to talk about how hard it will be to adjust to all of that, and how hard it will be to adjust to your body being smaller. Everybody likes to act like it's just universally a good thing to shrink in size, but on that note, the one thing that all of us wanted to talk about is the mental health aspect of this. If you have any kind of food issues to begin with, like because of food scarcity when you were a child, or maybe you had an almond parent, this surgery, even if you do not have an eating, a disorder, this surgery will make your food issues so much worse. It can make some of those issues actually become healthier for you, but it probably won't unless you do a lot of work. But there's another aspect of mental health that nobody cares about. Everybody assumes that if you're in a fat body, then you are obviously going to be happier in a thin body, and that it's the fatness that is giving you the trauma responses and the trauma. But I know of at least one person who was celebrating their weight loss. They were about 3-4 months out after surgery, and then they were out in public and their pants fell off. And that caused them the worst flashback in their entire life, and caused them to go home and try to self-delete, and then end up inpatient for quite some time. I know another person who, now that they're smaller, is far more ashamed of their body than they ever were when they were fat, and does a lot more things to try and make the shape look right than they ever felt they needed to before. And I know several people who had their shopping traumas reawakened, because especially in that first 6 months after surgery, you are going to lose weight so fast. You're gonna have to, it's gonna be super expensive to replace your wardrobe, but you're gonna have to replace your wardrobe more than once. And so if you've ever been treated like crap by a salesperson, or if you've ever had that any embarrassing situations in a clothing shop, all of that trauma is going to be reawakened by this surgery. And you're going to have to relive it over and over and over again until you stop shrinking. And even then, you might still have to relive it a little bit, because some people stop shrinking and they just can't adjust to their new weight, their new size. And so like a couple years down the road, someone will point out to them that they're wearing 3 sizes too big, and they'll have to go through it all again. To some people, those are all universally good things, and they just can't wrap their head around the idea that to some of us, all of those things are awful. When I stopped losing weight at 270 pounds, my surgeon, my surgical team, some of my friends were really disappointed for me. And I was relieved. 100% relieved. I losing the weight was freaking me out. I thought I wanted to be thinner. But when I got to that point, I was like, I don't want to be any thinner than this. Please, God, don't let me get any thinner than this, Because I don't like the idea of becoming a thin person. I just thought I needed to get healthier. And the surgery didn't make me healthier. It didn't. It lowered my blood pressure to dangerously low. It may have kickstarted my fibromyalgia. They don't really know, because they don't know what the source of fibro is. They think some of it's from trauma. They think it might be genetic, that sort of thing. But I have fibro now, and I did not have it before the surgery. And they do think that that's one of the major sources of trauma that could have caused it. It did fix my GERD, however, the gastroesophageal reflux issues. I'm not sure I had the full thing, but I was having massive problems with heartburn, and I don't have those anymore. I don't have heartburn at all. The closest thing to heartburn I get now is when I overeat, and it's a whole different feeling. It's not acid coming up my esophagus. For my Uncle James, he had type 2 diabetes, but the surgery gave him kidney failure, liver failure, and heart failure. And he was getting infusions and things before he died. Oh, and then I think the thing he actually died of was the infection, because before the surgery, he was not getting frequent yeast infections, because he only had one big fold. But after the surgery, he lost the weight, and so his skin was folding over, and he was getting massive yeast infections, and they weren't treating him correctly. So, yeah, I'm not going to say that the surgery killed him for sure, but it certainly made him vulnerable to what did. And if I want to stay unemotional, I think that's where I should end this for the day. I'm just going to say that even the comorbid conditions that they claim everyone will get solved, many of them do not get solved from the surgery. They just don't.